Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Art of Creation show. My name is Rebecca Boswell, and I am your host and coach for today, alongside our special guest, Alun Jones. And our topic today is being you on purpose, or we sort of changed it last minute.
I realized I've just changed the title.
Yeah, but I love it. It's actually, I love it even more. So, being you without apology. And I just think it's a really great topic and a really great conversation for us to have. So, Ellen, you are a certified coach and also just a being of brilliance. So, thank you so much for being here with us today and for being willing to have this conversation.
Thank you. I really appreciate being invited. It's such a joy to kind of play with different people around the world and invite people to something different. So
Yeah.
yeah, what else is possible?
Yeah, so this may not be the show for people who are constantly apologizing for being, um, or it could be for those people if they're actually willing to
If they're
make
willing
a
to change it.
change. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm being silly, but this is one of those things where you know, regardless of where we think we've got it right, where we think we've got it wrong, let's face it, if we live on this planet, there's always going to be somewhere with someone at some time where something bubbles up in us and there's this sense that maybe we're not good enough or smart enough or qualified enough or, whatever those things are that can come and sort of pop into our minds and try to take over. So, what is it about this topic that you're so keenly aware of that, given this phenomenon with anyone who has a brain, where would you like to start this conversation, or where do you think it's really important to begin to start unpacking where we do that and maybe where we can make a different choice?
Sure. You know, I guess it would help for me just to talk about the reason why I'm so passionate. I don't like the word passionate, but this topic kind of really lights me up purely because, no, not purely, but partly because for most of my life I was in apology for who I am.
Mm,
And regardless of what it was, I was always apologizing or having to justify or give excuses or reasons for why I was different.
uh-huh.
And whether it was being in a single parent family in the 70s, or having or having a different name to my mother when I was in the 80s, or having the wrong school uniform in a different school before we moved to Germany, all of this kind of stuff, why I was different to everybody else who went to school, because they were all used to being in the RAF and the army schools and traveling around, and I wasn't, or then kind of telling people, well, the reason I'm different is because I'm gay, or the reason I'm different is because I choose consciousness, or the reason I'm different is like, yeah,
Yeah.
and like how many people have got similar, and I want to use the term stories for this, but this kind of whole, all their life they've felt that somehow they're wrong or broken or stupid or bad or unfixable. And what if none of that is true? And when you be you on purpose, and when you be you without apology, because the two kind of go hand in a sense,
Yeah.
is that just to be you. I mean, Dane here, one of my kind of the most inspirational people in my life, wrote the book Being You, Changing the World. And as long as we keep trying to fit in, as long as we keep trying to justify who we are, why we're here, why we're different, or try and change that and lock it up,
Hmm.
the less able we are to make the changes in the world that really are required. Because let's look at the wars in the world, the unkindness in the world, the global warming, just this kind of almost disparate polarity that seems to be going on all around the world. And the only way we can ever hope to change that is to be who we are without apology, without having to justify it, without having to go into the explanations and rationales for why I'm fucked up or why I'm broken. Because I remember doing a whole heap. I mean, all my life I've done spiritual stuff, different therapies. I've tried most of them. And the one theme that seemed to stem through all of them, which never really worked for me, was that I was broken, that I did need healing, that I required fixing. I remember going to a workshop once and I just walked into all of these people who had stuff going on, and the facilitator herself was really not empowering them. And I said to her halfway through the day, hey, look, this just is not working for me. She said, oh, I know there are a lot of broken people in here. And, it's an
Wow.
interesting point of view. It's an
Yeah.
interesting way of facilitating. That doesn't work for me. So the first thing I would invite people to is to look at the question, what if I'm not broken? What if I'm not wrong? What if? Literally, just play with that. What if I wasn't? If I wasn't screwed up like I've been told or like I've believed, who would I be? What would I choose? And it is from that space of curiosity that most people don't get invited to. And that's one of the reasons
Mm.
why I love Dane Heer's book, and what Access Consciousness invites people to is to ask a question. What if I'm
Yeah.
not screwed up?
Yeah, and I love that. That's sort of your mission in the world, right? Is to facilitate people into realizing that they're not as screwed up as they think they are. And it can
Yeah,
be tricky though, because lots of times those senses of inadequacy or being screwed up or whatever. I mean, we're not walking around saying, oh, I'm so screwed up, or telling people, oh, I think I'm so screwed up. It's like lots of times it's buried under all these things, and we may not even know that we have this sense of being screwed up, and yet it still can contribute to all the choices that we make, or how we perceive the world, how we interact with other people, the words we choose, how we protect ourselves or those around us, what we share, what we don't share. So it's so interesting how there's so many different levels too of where we even have an awareness around where this is going on with us and where it's not. So when people come to work with you, are they already fairly certain that they have this secret that they're a little bit screwed up and they just don't want anyone to know? Or are they coming to you and they're just saying just things aren't working, and then they realize, oh my goodness, I've been burying this for so long? Or what is it that usually shows up?
all of that.
Yeah. and then and
All
then
of that.
about an infinite number of other possibilities too on
Yeah,
top, right?
it can be. It can be either of those and some other stuff. And I think so just go back to what you were saying. Often, no, we don't go around telling people, oh, I'm so screwed up, I'm so bad and wrong. Not to other people, but what the internal dialogue that we have going on, of when we see other people who seem to have got it, they're successful. Oh my God, look at them, and aren't they marvelous? And I'll never have that. I'll never be good enough. I'll never be able to create that. I never kind of get it right. This is the internal dialogue that often is playing in our head
Mm-hmm.
persistently. So whilst we may not necessarily, and I realized that for me, that dialogue has been going on nearly all my life. And I hadn't realized up until probably about 3 years ago, even though I kind of used the tools of access from about 2013, that I was depressed most of my life. So, so when people do come to me, often it's a case of, most often it's a case of, look, things in my life aren't working and something requires change. So then you start to dig underneath, like, okay, so what is that? So this is where we start. This is where I love questions. I've always asked questions. I've been coaching
Yeah.
since probably 1996, so coaching for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And so asking questions is natural for me. So it really is, okay, so how long have you how long have things not been working? And what even is that for you? Um, And one of the first places I would always start with clients is to have their bars run, because often, we talked about the internal dialogue of the self talk. When I one of the one of the things I had when I had my bars run for the first time was that went silent for the
Yeah.
first time ever in the whole of my life, and that was probably say 42 years of this constant dialogue. Da, 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 you're wrong, you're bad, you're stupid. And of course, how much of that is even ours? But that's perhaps a
Mm-hmm.
conversation for another time. But yeah, people
Yeah.
will come to me and some people will go, hey, I've got this thing that I can never seem to change. And one of my first questions is it even yours? And one of the tools of access consciousness is who does this belong to? Because regardless of whether you do kind of energy work or not, we are aware. And I would invite people to kind of just reflect for a moment. How many times have you walked into a room and you can sense something is going on, but nobody's saying anything? And then you walk out and you're still feeling that kind of anxiety or whatever it was that was going on in the room, and you can't think why. Or you're walking down the street and you're perfectly happy, and then boom, something will come along and smack you, and you're like, where the hell, like, why am I suddenly feeling angry, stressed, upset, like that? And so you just got to acknowledge, what are you aware of? So yeah, who does this belong to? What am I aware of? What am I perceiving here? Because we cannot change other people's lives. And once we acknowledge that what it is that we think we're
Yeah.
feeling is not even ours, it gives us a space to kind of go, oh, it's not mine, I can choose something else, I don't have to do anything with this. So
Yeah, Jennifer is just agreeing. She says whenever she is starting to feel like the dialogue in her head is too loud, she goes and gets her bars run. I remember the first time standing, it was years ago, standing at my kitchen sink and all of a sudden just stopping. And I was like, wait, what is this? And it occurred to me, oh, this is silence. I've never had silence before.
yeah, it's an
Because
odd
all of
feeling.
that chatter was, it just wasn't playing the same as it used to. Um, so yes, so bars definitely is a great way to quiet that and to have more of whatever is actually you come bubbling up, or to be able to perceive it more clearly. And I mean, what do you recommend if someone doesn't have a bars practitioner nearby to them? What's another way that you offer to clients to be able to quiet that, so that being themselves is actually more possible?
Right. I mean, I mentioned the who does this belong to tool,
Yeah.
and I would invite people to use that for 3 days.
Okay.
Right? Just see how you get on for 3 days for every thought, feeling, and emotion, everything. Who does so? Oh my God! Like whatever it is, I'm feeling a bit kind of anxious. Okay, who does that belong to? Is it mine or is it someone else's? And everything that's not yours, you just return it to sender.
Yeah.
Just return to sender for everything. And it may sound nuts. I just invite you to play with it. That'd be one tool I would give you. I would also invite you to use what they call the access consciousness crazy phrase.
Yeah.
And for me, it's one of the best tools I use when I can't sleep at night. So you're frozen. I don't know if you can still
I can see
hear
you.
me or not.
I can hear you.
Can you still hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, cool. All right, yeah, we were a bit frozen there. So the crazy phrase, the access consciousness crazy phrase, is one I use a lot if I wake up in the night and I can't sleep, and I just seem to be aware of all of this stuff going on. And the way it goes is you repeat this. So everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, nothing is the opposite of what it
Yeah.
appears to be, everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. And you repeat it. Probably, when I do it at night and I can't sleep, it's usually about 6 or 7 times, and I
Yeah.
gently kind of drift off into sleep. Because what it does is it doesn't make sense to the cognitive mind. It doesn't. It and then the brain just kind of goes quiet
Yeah.
for me. So I would invite people to play with that tool as well.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm in the process of reading the
yeah.
book Subliminal, and it talks all about the subconscious mind, and really, all of these studies and all the things that are showing up, and it just goes to show that so much, like, there's what's going on with us right now, and then there's everything that has occurred in the past. And the way that our memory works, and the way that recall works, and the way that we put all this information together, it's so fascinating at how very little of it is even really accurate over time. And so, so listening to this and realizing, man, our our whole past and all these things, because when we have all this dialogue, from my experience, it's not about what's going on right now. It's always something that's either occurred, or that could occur, which is based on references of what has occurred in the past. and and then when we realize that so much of what has occurred in the past, the way that we recall it and filter it and make it mean different things, is really just a lot of, there's so much make believe in there. There's so many gaps that we fill in. There's so many like best of tracks that we create, when there are holes, and we kind of take different memories and patch them together. And so inevitably, this crazy phrase is so brilliant because it really sort of addresses this, that all these things that we're making so real in our mind, yes, they seem so real, and parts of them may have been real, and many of it was never real, but why would we make it so real, right? So if it's all going to be make believe anyway, why not actually just create what's going to
Okay,
work?
I'm frozen again, so I can't really hear.
Oh, well, hopefully it pops right back in. But yeah,
Yep.
so okay. So yeah, so if everything that we're, most of the memories and the recalls and the emotions and the feelings from the past are sort of a story of make believe anyway, then why not create, choose your own adventure and create a storyline that's actually going to be one that propels you forward in a way that's easeful and joyful and enjoyable.
Very
So
much
it's
so.
all
And
insane anyway. So is it going to be insane as a contribution or insane as a detriment?
well, absolutely. And with any kind of stress or anxiety that we think we are feeling, the question really is, are you reflecting on the past or projecting into the future?
Yeah.
Because whatever you're dealing with as you're watching this right here, right now, is anything wrong? As you're living and breathing, like watching this video is actually so that people go, oh, but I haven't got enough money to pay my bills. Okay, right here, right now, do you need that money? Right in this very second, is someone demanding that money, standing in front of you, demanding that money? And money was one of the biggest things for me all my life. It was the one thing I could never change. That was what really brought me to Access, was
Mm-hmm.
depression and money. Both of them were intrinsically linked. So when you're in stress or anxiety, it's like, as you said, am I reflecting on the past or am I projecting into the future? Because right here, right now, just listen to your breath. One of the tools that I still love to use is just listening to my breath, because
Mm-hmm.
it brings me back to the present moment. So you listen to your breath, you notice your breath. Are they deep breaths or are they shallow breaths? Are they fast? Are they slow? Is there a sound to it? Can you feel the heat? Are you breathing through your mouth or through your nose? And it kind of brings your attention back to the present moment. And then from this moment, you can then ask the question. Another one of Access Consciousness tools is, okay, in this 10 seconds, what else is possible? I mean, the question is, what else is possible?
Yeah.
What else is possible? If I weren't reflecting on my past this way, what else would be possible for me? And here's a question I love to throw at people. If none of your past even existed, what would you choose?
Yeah.
If none of that existed, and I can hear people going, yeah, but it does, and it's happened. It's like, how much are you fighting to hold on to it?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember
Because we have.
one
Sorry, go.
I was walking down the street in New York City a few years ago with Carlina Vanderwee,
Yeah.
and she asked me the question, if you were the only one on the planet and there was no one else here, what would you choose? And it was like, well, wow, everything I choose and everything I've ever chosen has always been based on how it's going to affect other people, you know? And so that was a huge, huge monkey wrench in my whole cognitive wheelhouse, because I really had never even looked at functioning in that way before.
Well, you mustn't think about yourself. You mustn't ask what would work for you because that would be bad and wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and it's funny because actually looking at it since, I actually have so much more generosity of spirit. And I actually, um, there's actually so much more that I'm available to be and do with and for others in my life since I've been able to ask myself, is this actually going to work for me? So that every time that I offer something, it is a gift, and people say, oh, are you sure? And I'm like, trust me, I'm not that nice. Like, I wouldn't offer it to you if I didn't mean it. So, and there's just this ease about it because if I offer you something, it's truly a gift. There's no, I'm not vying for something. I'm not setting something up for the future. I'm not strategizing how now there's a reciprocity involved and now you owe me, right? It's just this thing of like, no, it may be even that I'm doing something outward, for someone else, but ultimately it's for me because I've already asked, does this contribute to my life or living? Yes, because it feels good to me to offer this. Or, oh yes, because I see the joy that it brings that person and that brings me joy. But it's never that thing of like, I did this and you should be happy now. Right? Like,
Yeah, you owe me.
exactly, right? And at least acknowledging, like, if I'm doing something because I want the joy of your happiness, I'm not mistaking it anymore that it's a free gift, right? Because before I wouldn't ask. And then if you didn't give me your joy in return, I'd get angry. But now I know whether, when you have your joy, that's your joy. And if you don't have your joy, that's also okay. Because that was not a contingency for my choice, right? My choice was what brought me the joy. And then what shows up afterwards, I can't
Exactly.
control that.
No. And nobody else is responsible for our happiness. And
Yeah.
likewise, we cannot be responsible for other people's happiness.
Yeah.
And truly, and it sounds kind counterintuitive to this reality that if you would say to someone that actually putting you in what you require first
Yeah.
actually allows you the space, as you say, to be more generous to others. And I know that there'll be some who disagree with that. And do you know what? That's cool, because this
Yeah.
is just my point of view.
Yeah.
My point of view has been when I looked at my life and saw where am I in my list of priorities? Because it was always doing this for someone else and doing this for someone else and doing this for someone else. And in the end, I ended up resenting, kind of even hating or feeling like I hated sometimes just doing anything for anyone.
Yeah.
I felt so low down on the list. And no one seemed to be kind of making me their priority. Well, because they were happy for me to make, and that may not be true, but that's kind of at the time how it seemed to me. And so for me, kindness is another thing for me that's just so important in and when there's no separation, when you look at there being no separation between me, you, and anyone else on this planet, when you ask the question, okay, what kindness can I be for me
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Or what kindness can I be and receive? So when you're in that moment of stress, okay, so what kindness can I be and receive here that I haven't considered before?
Yeah. And, just as a
Because kindness
testament,
includes,
oh, so go ahead.
yeah, go, sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, and even just a testament to your kindness, for those of you who are watching this later, you can't see what's popping up on the screen via the Facebook Live, but there's a lot of love showing up here for you, Alan. And, I know that a lot of that is generated from that space of you being that kindness in the world. And so whether you are, it's like, what is the energy under it? Like if you are trying to be kind to get something in return, it doesn't work. Right. And then, like you said,
No.
that's when we get resentful. That's when all these things kind of go sideways. Um, and yet when you can just make that choice for you, and people think like choosing for you is being selfish, like brr. But again, it's what's the energy under it. There's a kindness to you, choosing for you,
Well,
and a kindness to you does not mean against other people. And
And that was just where I was going to go.
yeah,
Yeah, kindness for ourselves does not mean, and choosing for ourselves does not mean that we have to choose against other people. In the same way that choosing for other people doesn't have to mean
yeah,
choosing against us. It's like,
yeah,
what choice can I make here that will be a kindness to them and to me? We
yeah,
include ourselves
yeah,
in the equation of kindness.
yeah,
You can't exclude ourselves from it.
yeah. Yeah, and that's when there that no apology piece comes in too. It's almost like, like when you look at something like a regret, right? Um, there's judgment attached, right? You can't really have
Yeah,
a regret if there's no judgment, right?
no.
And it's sort of that thing too of like, when there's an apology, again, there's a judgment. And it's like, okay, so if we can just clean all that out, just have the kindness, the choice, and being aware, okay, what am I, how am I showing up? Where am I showing up? What am I contributing? What am I offering? What am I, what are all these things? And when we're coming from that space of our own power, of our own, um, uh, yeah, just being fully the space of who we are, um, then it's just this constant movement, and there isn't that stop and go of like permission, apology, permission, okay, continue, stop, there's a very different energy to it. um, so so I know you mentioned before about happiness is just a choice, and earlier in the week I wrote in about, you had that quote about happiness and gratitude, and now we're talking about kindness, and so it just seems like a really uh, great way to segue a little bit into more of this gratitude. And you said happiness with you comes when you give up trying to be a better you and instead be grateful for everything you already are. So I was hoping we could talk a little bit here, because it's like, it's always that thing of like, playing for bigger, playing for better, and there can be a very generative energy there, right? Like what else is possible is about, how can I be greater today than I was yesterday? And yet when there's a judgment piece to it, it's always about like striving and driving and improving and comparison and judgment, right? But when it's just about, ever changing, ever evolving, ever growing, then greater is not about the judgment, and um, it's actually about something else. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about this, where people might get tweaked about, settling for what you have, as opposed to acknowledging the gifts that you are, and then that next forward moving piece of always creating greater, but without feeling like you're never enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And wow, where do we even start with that? Because it's
Yeah.
such a huge topic. Because again, in this reality, it is very much, or in this world, it is very much about being a better you, being the best you can be, fulfilling your potential. And how much judgment do we need to do of ourselves to even consider, am I meeting my full potential in every second? My response to that is, in every second of every day, you are always fulfilling your potential in that 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So I excuse me, one of the things that I notice in many clients, and in myself as well, is when we settle for what we've been told, well, that's the best you'll ever get, or you can't kind of create beyond this, or all of those kind of things, or this is what's possible for you, you're either born into it or you're not. When we settle, that's where we start going into, for me, was depression and that self negative talk. Because whilst um, we are ever expanding, this is it, like we have a desire, if you really acknowledge it, I invite everyone watching this to acknowledge it right now. Truth, do you have a desire to constantly have different things show up in your life? I mean, we like to think, oh, well, I'll get married, I'll have the house with the picket fence and the children. God no, and that doesn't work for me. But whatever it is, what have you decided your ideal life is? And truth, if you were in that, wouldn't like would that really satisfy you for the rest of your life? Would you be willing just to live in that space for the rest of your life? And that's what I thought. That's what we get taught, that's what we strive for. And it doesn't mean to say when we go to create greater every day, as you said, it's not about being greater in the terms of better than, because that requires so much judgment. For me, greater is how much more kindness can I be today? How many more people can I inspire today not to make themselves wrong? Where else can I go today just to be me and have play and fun? What else can I add to my life that will be fun and expansive?
Mm.
What else can I create that will actually contribute to changing the world? And that for me is where I kind of function from every day, not from a space of needing to make myself wrong for any of the other previous stuff, because that's where the gratitude piece comes in. I am grateful for everything I've chosen in my life, even the crappy stuff. I look at it and kind of go, wow, that was an interesting choice. At the time, it's like, what the hell am I doing this for? But when you look at it and go, do you know what? I'm so grateful for those choices because they've given me so much awareness about what really does float my boat. And I would love to kind of reflect on a conversation that I saw with Sarah Grandinetti and Dane here recently. And she was talking to him about success and failure. And he was talking about how he had this business that for him was going to be like, that's it, I'm going to be set, that's my kind of desire, my passion is to have this business and get it out there and I'll make it successful and I'll do da da da. And it failed. And she asked him a question. She goes, let's just get the energy of what would the world be like if you had succeeded at that and you'd never found access consciousness. And just the energy just took this nosedive into, oh my God, like, so everyone watching this, think about some of what you've considered to be your worst failures, and just get a sense of what would the world be like if you'd actually succeeded.
Yeah.
For me, that just kind of felt,
Wow.
just the energy just kind of went really dense. It's
Yeah.
like, wow. So what? Yeah. What if you're grateful? It's like, well, I tried that. It didn't really work for me, so I tried something else. And so I am grateful for all of the stuff that showed up in my life. The great stuff too, because when you look at the great stuff, I'm grateful that's shown up. And then I can look at it and go, now what? What's next?
Yeah.
What's next? Always, what's next? What's
Yeah.
next? What's next? The sun doesn't, the earth does not stop going around the sun. It doesn't get to the end of the day and go, okay, I've done revolution. I won revolution. I can stop now. It
Yeah.
just keeps going.
Yeah, that's right. I know that's that thing about quitting. It's like I quit, and it's like, but I'm still here. It's like when you're walking next to someone, you're like goodbye, and then you're just still walking next to each other. It's kind of silly, right? It's
Yeah.
sort of like that in life. We're like, I quit, but nothing really changes. So if you don't like where you are and you quit, well, you're still there. So
Yeah.
how is
Like
that
what else is
actually
possible?
contributing to you or helping your situation? We're so cute sometimes. So so I love this invitation, right? For all of us to look at where we are showing up fully, where we are being ourselves without apology. And some of your tips on how to clear out the things that don't belong to us, that may be distracting us from who and what we truly are. Um, and then acknowledging that as we can start to see it, acknowledging it, embracing it, bringing it out into the world. And then from this space of creation, what else is possible? Like moving forward. What are some tips and tools to really step even more fully into that creation space of being ourselves and maybe even changing the world? How does it get any better?
Yeah. Absolutely. And for me, it is always about question. So the what else is possible question is one of my favorites. And so I will spend time probably once a week, and I will just sit there and ask a question of what I wonder what else is possible with my life that I haven't considered before. And I'm not looking for an answer. I will just push the question out there. I wonder what else is possible, and I let it just go. I wonder what else is possible with my business. I wonder. I wonder what else is possible. I wonder what else is possible with kindness. I wonder what else is possible with traveling around the world. I wonder what else is possible with money. And I kind of, there's this energy that starts to build as I do it. I wonder what else is possible with having ease with my body. And I wonder what else is possible with having fun in my life. Because that, and I just kind of with no point of view. And then it kind of, that kind of excites me. And I'm like, okay, so what can I choose in this, like right now? What can I choose to create that would be fun for me? It might just be a cup of tea. It might be going for a walk. It doesn't have to make logical sense.
Mm-hmm.
It might be calling someone or messaging someone about, you might be doing a post on Facebook. It could be any of those things. But in some senses, what I would invite people to look at is what kind of life and world do you desire to live in 20 years' time? Ignoring everything that's going on in the planet at the moment, in a sense, what would you like your life and the world to be like? And for me, it's like, I would love the world to be a place where kindness prevails. And I don't just mean everyone being nicey, because that's not kindness, right?
Yeah.
That's just being nice. Like where people have each other's backs, where people don't trash the planet, where people have fun, they choose what works for them without apology, where people are not judging their bodies, where people, that this is the kind of the energy for me of what I would love to invite the world to, where people are curious, where people are willing to look at creating greater for everyone, not just their own wallet. So you kind of get a sense of the energy of, okay, so this is a sense of the energy and the space that I would love to create on the planet. Now, what can I choose or create today that will create that will take me nearer to that will bring that to
Yeah.
fruition? And so it is about asking questions and then taking actions. What actions can I take today to create the life I desire? And I
Yeah.
realize I'm chucking these questions out there. They're so normal for me that I just kind of
Yeah, they're
and
brilliant. And I mean, the beautiful thing about this replay is, people can just scroll back and re-listen, write them down, post them up on, on their wall, on their dashboard. I
yeah,
love dry erase on the mirrors, all
yeah,
kinds of things. So,
exactly.
if these
Yeah,
questions, if you're watching or listening to this and these questions, you're like, ooh, 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 awesome. And what would it take to go back and to listen to it again and start writing those down? And, they may be questions that, that you start playing with, and they could also become roll off your tongue questions as well. And, the more that we play with curiosity and the more that we start to ask questions, it really is a practice that builds momentum with
yeah,
and in and of itself. Um, the more we do it, the more we do it. So you
yeah,
just have
yeah.
to start.
It is a muscle. Yeah, it is a muscle that you start to build, and starting with something really as basic as what else is possible
Yeah.
is a great place to kind of play with. What
Yeah.
else is possible?
Yeah.
And then kind of the more you build that muscle, and if you follow, there are people. So Glenys Hughes, another one of the people who she's a really good friend now, but she's someone who I've listened to her radio show since 2013. She's loads and loads of practical stuff. So there's stuff out there
Right.
that can really help you start to create your life differently.
Yeah.
And really, I invite everyone to go and get their bars run.
Yeah.
Um, Learn bars, and then you get to swap, and you don't have to keep paying for sessions. If money is a consideration for you, go to a bars class, then learn to swap bars. It's awesome.
Yeah, or people could always, if they're in the States, they can fly across the pond. They could have a session with you.
They can, and I'm happy to do sessions via like if you want like a one-to-one session like this, I do those kind of quite often with people in the US. So I'm happy to play, and it
Cool.
really is a sense of play. If you want to have more play,
Yeah.
let me know.
Well, and that's what I really get when you're talking about asking even just the most simple of questions, what else is possible? When we're focused on this one little spot, right? Then our myopic sight can only
Yeah,
see that one little spot. And the second that we say, well, what else is possible? It's like, well, now I can see like this spot. And if I ask again, maybe I can see this spot. And we
Yeah.
start to relax as we realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm not dead. Like I loosened my fix on that one tight little thing. And like, oh, and I didn't die. And oh, it actually kind of feels a little better in my body. And oh, kind of, okay, wait, I'm breathing again. Okay, that's good. Okay, that's good. Like, oh, wait, the sun is out. Okay, that's great too. And it just suddenly we get back to this place of space where it's like, okay, wait a minute. I thought it was the end of any other possibility. And then suddenly you start to realize, okay, you know what, there may still be something here to look at, but I'm going to be okay. And I even have the possibility of being way more than okay from this place
Yeah,
based on what I
exactly.
choose next.
I'm aware of kind of where we are in terms of time, but
Yes.
the two other tools that I almost forgot that again I would really invite people to play with. One of them is the Access Consciousness mantra, which is all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. 10 times in the morning, 10 times in the evening. So first thing I do when I wake up as I lay in bed, all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. All of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. And as I go to sleep, it's a great way to start and end the day.
Yeah.
And also, the other question, how does it get any better than this? And as you were saying, when we're in those moments of, like, okay, so what else is possible? How does it get any better than this? I wonder. I wonder,
Yeah.
how does it get any better than this? Because when we ask a question, we invite possibility in.
Mm.
And when great things happen, when you have like someone offers you like a really great possibility, awesome. How does it get any better?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And when
I've done that
something,
before in
yeah.
hotels.
Oh, yeah. It's a
And
fun game.
yeah, and it does, it really works. You go into a hotel and you go, we've given you we've upgraded your room. I go, wow, how does it get any better? Well, we can put it on the kind of the seafront if you like. Awesome, how does it get any better? And you kind of see them going, oh my god, this guy's really needy. What else can I give him to shut him up? It's brilliant, and I'm happy to receive that judgment. It works.
That is so cool. I know I've told the story before about we played the How's It Get Any Better game as a family, and we used it once in Disney and had, you know, apparently it's the most magical place on earth, but we made it way more magical playing that
Cool.
game. And I mean, the things, I won't go through all the things, but like all the things all day long. We never spent more than 40 minutes in a line. We got everything we wanted without any reservations and, all the stuff. So it's really cool. So don't try that unless you want a little bit or a lot of bit of magic in your life and you're willing to receive it. So, Ellen, I am so grateful for your time. And this is, like you said, there's so much here. And we just kind of nicked the surface on a lot of different aspects
Yeah.
of this really huge conversation. Um, but, I know that there are more possibilities available now to everyone watching that they can play with. So, how does it get any better than that? How can people find you, connect with you, play with you, Alan? What's the best place for them to go?
Okay, so on Facebook, you should be able to find me as Alun Jones, and it's Alan with a U, so ALUNJONES.
Okay.
That should find me on Facebook, or you can go to my website, which is again, it's Alan, ALUN hyphen JONES.com. So alan-jones.com is my website. And I'm on YouTube as well. I think you probably put my name in there. I'll kind of pop up there. I'm all over the place. I'm on Instagram.
Yay! You are
So because I
fully
love,
global.
yeah,
Well,
I am.
we will put all of the links into the show notes. So either
Great.
tonight or by
Thank you.
tomorrow, this will be up on YouTube. The link will be here on the Facebook page as well, and then the links will be in the show notes. So for all of you guys watching, don't worry about writing it down because it will be in there for you, nice and
Awesome.
easy.
Thank you so much,
So,
Rebecca.
is there anything
I,
final that you would like to voice for our viewers today?
you know, I'm going to steal from Dr. Dane here again because he's such an inspiration for me in my life. And I think the question he asks goes something like, what if you being you is the change and the gift that the world has been asking for? something like that.
Yes.
And really, there's such an energy of that. And I truly, truly invite you just to play with that question. What if you being you is the change and the gift that the world has been asking for? And
Yeah.
what if just for today, you just didn't make yourself wrong for anything?
Mm.
Just for today, just for one day, don't make yourself wrong for anything. And have fun.
Cool.
Go have fun. Whatever it is, go have
Yay!
fun.
Yeah, well, and how much easier is it to have fun when we are not so busy judging ourselves?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. True
awesome,
story.
right? Yeah, I mean, we're using, we're choosing something every moment of every day. The question is, what are you choosing and what is it creating? And if it doesn't work, would you be willing to choose something else? So thank you so
Yeah.
much, Alan. Thank you for playing with us today. Thank you guys for watching at home.
Yeah.
And those of you who have been here live, we love you, we see you, we acknowledge you, and we adore that you came to co-create with us today. Everybody else, next week we have an interesting show. Actually, next week is the last show of this 5th season, and we're going to do something a little bit differently. We have the other co-host from season 1 of this show, Frank Fradella, and he is going to be interviewing me. So I am actually going to be the special
Cool.
guest next week. We've never done that before. So all of you
How does it
watching,
get any better than
hopefully,
that?
how does it? Hopefully you'll come back and play
How
with us
does it?
next week. And in the meantime, if you have any questions for me that you want me to bring into the show, feel free to PM them or put them in the comments, and we will bring those into next week's show as well. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Alan, for being here. Please make sure to click all the bells, the whistles, subscribe, show your love, share the video, and until next week, I wonder what we'll discover next. Bye-bye, everybody.